to entertain you. We'll sing your song.
Hey there. Are you obsessed with things that happened before your time? Well, if you are, join me, the host of Before My Time, Kelsey Laurie, to discuss the wonders of the yesteryears that we weren't around to enjoy ourselves. You can find us on all podcast platforms.
Soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see two people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
Joe, we are back in Newport Beach for episode 11 of season 4 called The Dream Lover. A lot of craziness happens in this episode. I feel like multiple times during this episode, I just wrote down like, this season is wacky. That wasn't a negative review, I must say, but it is wacky.
Yeah. Wacky is not inherently negative.
No. So I think let's get through the Ryan related stuff first, because I find it the least interesting of our like 3 primary storylines. So for the Ryan thing, we're picking up where we left off last week. There's still this weird jealousy between Ryan and Taylor's ex, who wrote the book Seasons of Peaches. His goal is to just kind of avoid Taylor until the ex-husband leaves, until he finds out that the ex-husband is looking to buy a house in Newport Beach and is looking for Taylor to move in with him. Then, Ryan kind of starts to step up. He's trying to, make himself put himself back into Taylor's life. Mm-hmm. And it all builds to Ryan reading a 10 Things I Hate About You style poem at a book signing, leading for Henri to just leave in the night, and that's the end, I believe, of Taylor's French husband. Is that a series wrap on Henri?
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
There really is no other reason for Henri to be there at all. Henri Michel, and like it was also like the whole time they're talking about the name of the book, I just keep thinking about it's either. What is it? The Presidents of the United States, right? That's Peach.
Yeah, Millions of Peaches.
Or Peaches doing what's in the teaches of peaches, hitting on your titties like you wanting me, calling me all the time,
like Blondie. Check out my prissy behind it's fine all of the time.
Yeah,
fuck the pain away. Fuck the pain away.
What's in the teaches of peaches?
But that is their entire storyline. So one of them, boom, out. Real quick, there's more stuff going on with Caitlin and Chris Brown. Thought for sure Chris Brown was done on this show, but apparently this episode is the series wrap on Chris Brown, as we see that there's a girl who has a crush on him named Lucy. There is she has an incredible. Boy, is it. There is an incredible line that I had to write down, though, where Lucy comes up to Caitlin and is kind of like attacking Caitlin and saying, like, you don't deserve him, like, blah, 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 blah. And she finally says, you don't make him want to be himself. And that is like such an insanely savage dig. Like, and it like rattles Caitlin. Like it leads to Caitlin being like, fuck, this girl's right. Like, I'm actually kind of doing more damage than good.
Yeah.
So they go their separate ways at that point. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up with Caitlin is at one point she's helping Ryan know where Taylor is, and she's outside skateboarding, and that just seems so weird to me, because if we go back to season 1, part of what made Seth so weird was that he skateboarded. He was a skateboarder in Newport Beach. A plot point that was dropped, I feel like, within like 5 episodes, that like Seth Cohen loved to skateboard. It was just, I was like, why is Caitlin skateboarding? That feels wrong to me.
It feels like we have to have a skateboarding kid at this point in the 2000s, right? Like we're very much trying to keep this is what the height of Vans and like skateboard culture, right? It's at its apex at this point.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. But that plot's done with. Let's talk about Julie and
the bullet.
Kirsten.
Oh, the Kirsten. Okay.
Julie and Kirsten. So in this episode, Kirsten finds out that, well, Julie, no, Kirsten's the one that finds out first. Kirsten has been like ignoring Julie. She's fed up with her because she started this male prostitution ring. And
wait, can you say that one more time? Because it's so wild for people who don't watch the show and like just heard this, right? Like, come on.
So yeah, Julie a couple seasons ago started a male prostitution ring under Kirsten's perfect match matchmaker company, and now she's kicked Julie out of the company. She's very upset. She doesn't even eat the cookie bouquet that has been sent to her, which did look delicious and adorable, I must say, when they cut to this cookie bouquet. But eventually she gets a phone call informing her that one of the guys from the male prostitution ring has chlamydia, and thus she must go and tell everybody that they have chlamydia. And she calls Julie. Julie's like, I'll come and do this with you. And most of this episode is them going up to women and letting them know that they may have to get tested to see if they have chlamydia. It is very strange, very weird. Only gets weirder when we find out that Julie was lying the entire time about the chlamydia just as a way to hang out with Kirsten, which is fucked, because at least one woman was like, I will sue you and your entire company over this. And Julie says nothing. Like, Julie just like lets it go. And I'm assuming that was Linda, because at the end, Kirsten's like, you have to call every single one of those people and tell them that this was a lie. And Julie goes, can we please just let Linda continue to think that she has an STD? Which is, again, just some savage Julie shit right there.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on this? I am assuming this is the end of the male prostitution plot line.
I mean, it needs to be, because, you know, she's going to be a mother again.
Yeah, let's get into that. I mean, that's next week, but dear God, yeah. That is fucking crazy that comes up next. The last thing we need to talk about in this particular episode, where the title of this episode really stems from, is that Seth has kind of lost his mojo after this summer engagement, non-engagement thing. And for whatever reason, Che is still here. So Che is like, we need to go on a spirit quest. We're going to go get that mojo back for you. We got to find your spirit animal, and it'll fix everything. And Che, at one point, says like, are you sure that we have everything we need? And Che's like, I've got my harmonica. That's all we need. And I got to say, I don't think harmonica really fits Che's vibe at all to me. That bothered me. Apparently, as we jump back to them, they've been walking in the woods for over 6 hours. And that's when Che informs Seth that they're actually going to camp out. And that's how they're going to find Seth's spirit animal. And it actually works. You know, as much as we trash Che for being dumb, this works. Seth does go on a vision quest. And that's where he meets an otter that is supposed to be his spirit animal. But when Seth comes out of the spirit journey, Che was also on a spirit journey, which wasn't supposed to be the plan. Che was supposed to be there monitoring it. They get back home. There's an amazing Julie Cooper line where she walks in the house and Che's sitting on the counter and says something about how he had an amazing dream about being a frog. And she says, "Oh my God, we've got to change the locks in this house," which is top tier. But it's here where Che explains that on his spirit journey, he was a frog.
Mm-hmm.
And his best friend, when he was a frog, was an otter. And that he needs to tell that otter that he might be in love with him and that otter might be his soulmate. So Che thinks that Seth will be his significant otter. And
how long have you been waiting to say that?
Oh, I typed that up so quick. I read it to Barb. I was waiting. I was very proud of myself.
We're here to entertain you. We'll sing your songs.
Hey there. Are you obsessed with things that happened before your time? Well, if you are, join me, the host of Before My Time, Kelsey Laurie, to discuss the wonders of the yesteryears that we weren't around to enjoy ourselves. You can find us on all podcast platforms.
Dixieland's a-playing, soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see two people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
Are you troubled by trying to find a great movie podcast to listen to?
Do you experience a love for monster movies from the classic Universal era to the modern creature features?
Have you or your family ever watched episodes of Elvira, Monster Vision, or Svengoolie?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Open up your podcatcher and search for the professionals. The Monster Rally Podcast.
Our hilarious and asinine hosts have an ever-growing library of episodes for you to listen to 24 hours a day to serve all your monster movie needs.
We'll talk about it.
I mean, this is a harmless, dumb episode of the OC. Is both the most I can say about it and the worst I can say about it. Is harmless and dumb.
I feel like I was angry for watching it, mainly because I was like, these two episodes, it took 2 episodes to transition to what will be a really pivotal one after these 2 that we do, right? Like, yeah, I was like so upset because I was like, why? This means nothing. We are literally just keeping people employed writing.
That's the thing. Like, it's a short season, and yet I still feel like it could be shorter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we've watched 20. There was a point, Joe, where we watched a 27 episode season of the OC, and this 16 episode season still feels like it's just like spinning wheels in the mud for a little bit, where I'm like, all right, we need to get some forward motion. You know what makes it even more difficult, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
The songs are kind of weak in this episode as well, though. So it's not even like we're clinging to some bangers that show up to get us excited. So we had a lot of songs, just nothing that I thought was particularly memorable. When Seth finds Che at Summer's house, Sufjan Stevens' Dear Mr. Supercomputer is playing. When Seth sees Summer and she's set up this room for this perfect geek date, the Western States Motel, the new E Blues plays. When Seth is on his spirit journey, Tally Hall's Hidden in the Sands plays. When Taylor finds the letter from Enray, How do you pronounce it?
Henri.
I feel like Henri.
Henri
I feel like I've
Michel.
said it differently every single time.
Huh?
Is by the Low Standards du Temps. And then at the end of the episode, we hear Sparkle Horses Return to Me. I didn't know where to go with this one, Joe. How about you? Where'd you end up?
California.
Oh, you just went right back to the... I refuse to do that, so I just went with Sufjan Stevens, because I do like...
Because you're gay.
Sufjan Stevens. Yeah. Look, maybe. So...
Because I was definitely not...
Joe,
I was like, I'm not going to choose a Sufjan Stevens song, because, like, it's not, like, I'm not a gay tender queer. You know, I'm not, like, a... Also, like, I can't hear the name Sufjan Stevens and not immediately want to go, visions of Gideon, the visions of Gideon. Like,
well, I went with it regardless. But Joe, first off, I just got to say the episode that people heard last week was recorded before the Freaky Kiki Horror Ball.
mm-hmm.
And we did a little bit where we just overhyped how amazing it was. But now it's officially over. And I mean, for real, seems like it was a hit. So sad I wasn't there. So proud of you and Joshua. Can't wait to do whatever I can to help out with the next year's Freaky Kiki Horror Ball.
Well, because you're going to be there, Matt. You're going to be there, actually be there, because, you know, you're going to be the one wrangling all of the entertainment people that we're going to bring to this Freaky Kiki Horror Ball. Like, it was great. Like, the thing that, like, Joshua and I, again, because we can't just do anything just for fun, right? There's always deeper meanings. We overcomplicate our lives just like we overcomplicate horror. And we worked with a great production team. We had a team of folks. And again, for the people out there listening to this and have no idea what Ballroom is, like, go watch the seasons of Legendary that are available on Roku or Tubi. Look up, like, Kiki Balls on, like, YouTube, and just know that, like, you know, it's interesting because for us, and Joshua's way more eloquent about this, but, like, horror as a genre and the films in horror have, like, you know, not only in many ways have excluded for a long time Black and brown bodies, and not even excluded them, but also exploited and, like, harmed them in the films. And same thing with, like, queer bodies too, right? And so, like, this is a way to kind of reclaim that. This is a way to also, like, recognize in the same way that horror, like, queerness and horror are intrinsically linked, to recognize that and to allow people an element of fantasy and play. And also functioning within Ballroom, which is, you know, thanks to Pose. I mean, really, thanks to Paris is Burning and then Pose and Legendary, and, you know, the popularity of Ballroom thanks to Anitra, where she walks that fucking duck. You know, like, it's just, it's becoming more of a thing in mainstream cultures. And what is really great to see at this ball was how, like, you got the feeling that this is, like, it was a very, in my view as the non-ballroom person, it was a very authentic ball. Like, I definitely felt like I was watching a community come together in a way that was not, like, I have complicated feelings about this because it's like, I'm not trying to do it like I'm Richard, you know, like what's his name, David Attenborough, where he's like, very like a documentarian kind of inserting myself. I just wanted to create a place, intentional community, and practice active allyship, and we did that, and it was beautiful. And, like, I think the biggest compliment was that, like, people are excited for next year, and they already know what it is that they're, like, planning and kind of wanting to do. We're getting suggestions, like, it's a whole thing, and I'm really looking forward to it. So please, dear listener, check out FKH Ball on Instagram at FKH Ball, and take a look at the pictures, the videos. We're hoping that the videographer can send us the clips soon. because some of the things that people came up with were fantastic. Like, there was one where this was someone who did not win their category, but the category was face, and we called that whole category Frankenface. So like male face, the reference was Frankenstein's monster. Female face, the reference, it was Bride of Frankenstein, and then gender nonconforming was Rocky Horror, Frank-N-Furter. So like very clearly these three things. And one of the girls that came out and did the Bride of Frankenstein, she came out and like the lights dimmed, the DJ played like an audio track of Frankenstein in the movie saying it's alive. And they wheeled her out on a platform, removed a sheet, and she like came out and like came alive and went up to the judge and did the thing. And I was like, this is the kind of production that I wanted. Like, there was a guy who, dressed in like a very high fashion Carrie, got covered in blood, and then like walked. There was a sexy Candyman. We have beautiful pictures of like Jason voguing with like a machete. Like,
dude, the Jason voguing with the machete clip that you were able to send to me, like, I was just, again, that was another one of those moments where I was like, I am so glad that my friends were able to pull off something this cool and this unique. But that was like so you guys, like, that is so Joshua. And if I could summarize Fright School in a single video clip, it's someone dressed as Jason Voorhees voguing with a machete in their hand.
Right.
Amazing. Well, on top of the wild success that the Freaky Kiki Horror Ball was, have you been indulging in any pop culture in the last week that you want to talk about?
So it was funny because like the morning of the ball, I was like, part of me was like, maybe I should prepare. Maybe I should watch like a horror movie. Maybe I should start listening to my my horror movie playlist that I put on every time in October. No, I proceeded to watch season 3 of Heartstopper.
Just as good. I mean, my one friend Crystal texted me just to tell me how great the new season of Heartstopper is and how quickly she rocked through it. So I'm hearing good things. I assume you also feel good things for Heartstopper.
Yeah, it's a really good season. I think that it is like Heartstopper really knows how to work in the format of just like, all at once binging. It's like 4 episodes that are half an hour each. And I think what I love about it is that it does go places. Like we're not the OC, right? Where it's like 2 episodes of kind of filler that really only have the only drive the plot at the end, right?
But like, again, while you say that, how far have we come from season 1 where each episode felt like 5 episodes shoved in one?
Right.
It's like I feel like the OC never found a balance of just like the proper pacing of a TV show.
Yeah. And so with Heartstopper, it's like, the press tours and like everything that people are saying, all the articles and think pieces that came out about this season ahead of the season, like, are very accurate. Like, it is definitely more adult themes. It is natural for kind of like the development of where these kids are in their life, the kinds of conversations that they're having. It like walks the line between being very after school special and like hit you over the head with the message, but also trying to be like earnest and sincere.
Okay.
And I really like what the things that they were doing this season. And I told Joshua too, I was like, there's a lot of mental health stuff, and I really want Joshua to watch it because of his like background in mental health. And I want to gauge, like, I'm curious to know as a practitioner and as a professional in the field, like what he thinks about it. So yeah, Heartstopper season 3, can't recommend it enough. I actually, when I came back from the ball at like almost 1 a.m, I finished the season because I was so
Yeah, you got
wired.
that second wind.
Yeah, I got that second win, and I was just already so wired that I was like, fuck, might as well just finish the season.
Mine is not nearly recent or that deep. But after it's been like a 10-year journey, I finally finished the entire Animorphs book series.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was very exciting for me. Joe, what is your experience with the Animorphs? We'll start there.
I read them a lot as a kid. Like I remember, like it was like consistently in my Scholastic book fair
pick, yeah, like your pick list.
And then when my school library, if my school library had the latest ones, I would go get it. Like it was very, I would usually go to the bookstore in Guam to go pick them up.
Okay. That's a good start. Do you remember how dark the books could get?
Yeah,
is that like
absolutely.
a thing that you recall?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay. I remember not only did I read the Animorph series, but I also read like the one-offs. Oh,
there was like Megamorphs, and there was like the whatever the alien creatures are. Like they had their own spin-off series.
And the
they had all types of shit. So I remembered loving these books as a kid. What I was blown away from when I first started reading even the first couple books was that it's dark. J.K. Rowling gets a lot of credit for how Harry Potter grew with its audiences. But I'm here to say that the Animorphs books was doing that way before the Harry Potter books were ever published. Because, like, to spoil a book series that's 50-something books long and over 3 decades old at this point, the end of the book series involves one of the 5 Animorphs sacrificing themselves to save the planet, and then jumps multiple years into the future, showing how all of the Animorphs are tried as war criminals, showing the depression that goes through them and the post-traumatic stress disorders that they all develop from being part of a war. And literally the book ends with the 3 of the 4 of them going into outer space on a suicide mission because dying in war is the only thing that makes sense to them anymore after spending their formative years having to fight. Like, it is like a giant anti-war, these are the things that happen when you're in something like that and exposed to that at a young age type story. I was like, I cannot believe how heavy this is to wrap it all up. So yeah, I mean, just give Animorphs a shot. It's a lot better than like the kind of not great Nickelodeon TV show adaptation would lead you to believe.
Sure.
Speaking of things that are better than public perception has led you to believe, season 4 of the OC. So stay tuned because we have, Joe, 5 episodes left. We are so close to the end of the OC.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Compared to season 1, we're just breezing through.
We're flying through this. We're almost done, baby.
We're here to entertain you. We'll sing your songs.
Hey there. Are you obsessed with things that happened before your time? Well, if you are, join me, the host of Before My Time, Kelsey Laurie, to discuss the wonders of the yesteryears that we weren't around to enjoy ourselves. You can find us on all podcast platforms.
Dixieland's a playing, soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see 2 people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.